Good morning, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Today is Saturday, September 11th, or if you're in Australia, New Zealand, it could already be Sunday the 12th. Today the moon is in Scorpio all day, and Scorpio always brings an emotional intensity to the day, a willingness to look to the darker sides of things, or the more intense, or the more emotionally triggering sides of things. An apropos day, I think, for the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attack in New York City and Washington, D.C. and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. It really was a day that turned a lot of things around, and some of them not for the better. However, here we are 20 years later, pondering the lessons. So what's going to help us ponder the lessons today? Well, we actually have a couple of interesting aspects, most of them to the moon, to that Scorpio moon. We have a sextile to the sun. Of course, the sun is in Virgo, and the moon in Scorpio is one of those 60-degree Gemini side sextiles. So it stimulates conversation and discussion, and we know there's going to be a lot of discussion and a lot of conversation. You know, kind of like when Kennedy was shot. What were you doing when Kennedy was shot? What were you doing when the planes hit the World Trade Center? You know, what do you remember of that day? That kind of stuff. So there'll be a lot of that, I think. There's also a semisextile. Now, a sextile is 60-degree aspect. A semisextile is a 30-degree. It's a semi, right, half of a sextile, which would make it 30 degrees between Pluto and Jupiter. Now, this is interesting, and I want to mention, I don't usually mention semisextiles, except that last year in 2020, we had the start of that synodic cycle, Jupiter and Pluto, and that began in 2020 with 3 conjunctions between Jupiter and Pluto. The interesting thing about those conjunctions is each one of those conjunctions, we had a surge in coronavirus cases. Jupiter is a planet of expansion, and Pluto can be the planet of death and rebirth. And so we had waves of this Pluto. There are other ways of describing that combination as well, but I think the most prominent thing that happened at this point in my recollection and my memory was the increase in COVID cases as it swept over the U.S. certainly, and the world. And the semisextile is a 30-degree aspect. So if we were to look at a natural zodiac, the new moon, the conjunctions that occurred in 2020 would have had the energy of Aries. And now, as we get 30 degrees away from that point, we're moving into Taurus. So there's a stabilization, and hopefully, people will start to realize what needs to be done and will actually be done. And it's interesting because I haven't really, and I have to be honest with you, I haven't really followed the news too much, but I know from what I was hearing yesterday that Biden required some sort of somebody to get it, and I think that that is part of this. That is part of this because we are trying to contain Taurus and build structures, Taurus, to help us, stop the expansion of this energy temporarily. So there's that. And we also have the moon making a square to Jupiter, which connects to that aspect, and a sextile to Pluto. The square to Jupiter with the moon in Scorpio deals with fair distribution of resources, and questioning those in power as to whether that's happening. And then the sextile to Pluto of the Scorpio moon is an opportunity for us to move in a more progressive direction. So there is a hope for there's hope for the future, for sure. I mean, Jesus, I mean, who wouldn't say that? I guess a lot of people don't say that. A lot of people think it's the end, think it's the, oh my God, this is it. It's all over. But it's not true. We are coming to terms with our new reality. We are coming to terms with the fact that we are connected, whether we like it or not. And we're going to have to start really acting that way. I myself am kind of a hermit, so I talk about community and stuff. Honestly, I often just stand outside of the group, right? But we do, and I figure that's perspective for me. And I've always kind of been an outsider ever since the beginning of the beginning, so. Oh well. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that little diatribe. Sorry I had to talk about myself again. Have yourself a great day. Like and subscribe. I think that personally, never forget has to change. I think we have to say it's time for healing now. That's what I think. We won't ever forget the day the world stood still. We will never forget the preceding years. We will know that there are generations that didn't know what it was like before 9/11. And we know. We hold the stories within us. Maybe it's time to share some of those stories, right? And some of your, instead of, just saying these words, and I'm of course speaking to the Americans in the group, but anybody, I mean, there are mottos that you have. Maybe we need to look at our mottos and see if in fact they still apply. All right, guys, have yourself a great day, and I will see you again tomorrow. Namaste. Ooh, look, we have some moss growing on that. It's been so wet. Or maybe it's mold. Oh, God, help us. I'm going to call it moss. I think I like that better. All right, guys, take care.